All right. So, attitude. Having a good attitude about your work and your role in a company is probably the single most important thing in becoming successful. Um, Nobody wants to work with somebody who complains all the time or is just generally difficult. It's just how it is. Animation is a creative industry and subjective medium. You won't always agree with the direction a project takes, but it's your job to kind of make it happen to the best of your ability because you are a professional, right? And it's really easy when you're working long hours to get negative. I'm not saying that you can't complain and like vent to your teammates and stuff, but having an overall negative attitude is just going to drag you down. You want people to want to work with you. People will bring you back because you are great to work with. Getting notes. Try and take criticism with grace. Keep in mind that a critique of your work is not a critique of you as a person. Don't take things personally. Sometimes people do take things personally and they get defensive, and that's not a good look. Don't try and argue your way out of a note. A lot of times when people get notes, it's pretty natural to try and give excuses, like why it didn't turn out that way. You may have a valid point, but usually the director has an overall overarching vision of the shot or the performance, and it may not be apparent to you because you don't have the kind of same overall view of the movie that the director does. It's their job to kind of look at the thing as a whole from a far distance, and it's your job to get into the very minute details about how things work. Really try and hear the notes, and writing might not always help. And this is personal to me. I used to try and write down every single note, every single word, almost verbatim, that a director would tell me. And I found that while I was doing that, I wasn't really looking at the director, and I wasn't really, seeing what they were saying, like understanding and seeing them maybe act something out. I'm not really hearing what they're saying if I'm completely face down writing. So what I try and do is have a dialogue with them, listen to what they're saying, really try to understand that, and then right after the review, go and write it all down. For me, this has been advantageous because I've been able to lock on what the director's after a little bit better and a little clearer. And sometimes it takes some time to think about it and really grasp it too. When you're getting critiques, be enthusiastic, ask good questions. It's good to ask questions. You just don't want to be combative or argumentative and say, oh, like, do you mean like this? Or like, I was thinking this, or what do you think of that? Or, you just try and get them to explain what their vision is more to you if you're not getting it. And this is a nice trick here. Pay attention to other people's notes and dailies. When you have a group presentation, group rounds, and you can go and listen to an animation director or a director give notes on other shots, maybe in your sequence or even on the same movie, it's very valuable because you'll start to hear common notes come out about certain characters. They like the character to walk like this, or they like him to have this shape in his face. And that way you can learn from other people's mistakes and other people's notes before you even do them. So I always encourage my team to listen to rounds and go to rounds, even if they're not showing, at least at the beginning of the show, to kind of learn about common notes and stuff. So continuing with attitude, strive to improve areas of weakness. I know some people get kind of bogged down with competing with other people and trying to be the best ever. Just do the best you can. That's all you can do. If you can only put your best effort forward. And if it's not the same, or somebody else has got more experience than you, then that's how it is. But just do the best you can. You won't like every project that you work on. Find something in the project that you can latch onto and something that inspires you. And this is something that I've had to learn kind of the hard way through my career. It's really hard to necessarily choose every project that you get to work on. Sometimes, just having some solid work coming in is more important than how flashy or exciting the project is. And if you do good work on that movie, you don't know what it could lead to. It could lead to something great. I always tell people about the Emoji Movie. Like, nobody wanted to work on that. But a lot of people that got hired for the Emoji Movie ended up going on to Spider-Verse after that because they did well in that movie. So sometimes opportunities can be disguised. And I think it's good to go in with a great attitude on a project because the project means something to somebody, right? And just do the best you can with it. And especially if you love the project, like, put your best foot forward. Don't complain about shots you're cast. All shots are important in a movie, especially when you're first starting out. You're not going to get the most exciting shots. That's just the nature of how things work. Coming from student level or entry level, you're going to be doing, a lot of smaller shots, but make something great out of it and you'll get better shots. You will. Every shot in a movie has potential to be good. There's an animator that we had. She started out doing this, really short shots. She was kind of entry level. She started out with a shot of an airplane, and it had just crashed and was teetering over the edge of a cliff. That's all it was. It wasn't even really moving. It was just kind of like teetering over the edge of the cliff. But she did a great job with it, and she, you really felt the weight of it, and she broke off little pieces of it and had them kind of vibrating a little bit and feeling, rickety, like they were going to fall off. Had the propellers both spinning different directions and different speeds, like just little attention to detail. And she got better and better shots. And throughout, by the end of the movie, she ended up doing the longest shot on the entire film. She did great. And now she's at Pixar. That's kind of like a very meteoric trend, but that it does happen. And I think if you have the right attitude and you really just treat every shot try to make it the best it can be, then it'll benefit you as well in the end. Creative block. Something that happens sometimes. Sometimes when you're up against deadlines and you're, trying to get stuff done, don't panic. If the shot's not working, take a step back, look at it with colleagues from different angles. And this is a piece of advice I got early on when I was working on Incredible Hulk at Rhythm Hughes. Don't worry about it. It's just a movie. It will get done eventually. My lead told me that because I was kind of freaking out. I'm like, this shot's not going to get done. And like we were up against this end of the movie, and he just had such a relaxed attitude about it. And he's right. The movie always gets done. It gets done somehow. Also put it in perspective that it's just a movie. We're not saving lives. It's not like life and death. It'll get done eventually. So just keep that in mind and try to keep a calm head about things. So a little bit about dealing with rejection. So rejection, this can be the hardest part of the job. Sometimes despite your best efforts, you'll be overlooked for a job or position that you really want. Sometimes others will be kept on while you are let go after a show finishes. And then I always try to think of this now to use this as motivation. Think critically about what you can improve and seek to use positive examples from other people. I've been through this a lot in my career where, a project ends and you're not kept on, and some people are and other people aren't. It may come down to performance, it may come down to other factors, but it happens. Like I said, there's going to be ups and downs, right? Layoffs happen. And I always tell people, especially when you're first starting out, think of it this way. Like if you want to quit right now, that means maybe somebody else will have, and then you're a little bit ahead because you didn't quit. You're not going to quit, right? So that perseverance, if you think about it that way, all right, this is great. This is a tough point. Some people would quit at this point. Now I know I'm really making headway because I'm not going to quit. Sometimes opportunities are kind of disguised as well. I remember early on in my career, I had an interview at Blue Sky, and I really wanted to go to Blue Sky. They flew me out to New York. They picked me up from the airport in a limo. I thought this was it. I'm gonna go there, made it, but they didn't end up hiring me. I waited for weeks, and I waited and waited. I didn't hear it, and I think really what happened is like they just didn't have the positions available right then, and they hired a couple people that they felt more strongly about, and they just kind of kept me on the list. And that's what happens, they'll keep you on a list. And I was just so bummed, like I really wanted this. It was for the first Rio, and what ended up happening is I ended up getting hired at Animalogic in Sydney instead. And I ended up going to Sydney with my wife, and we got married in September, and then we moved to Sydney, Australia 6 months, like not even 6 months later, a few months later. And it was one of the most exciting times of my life. And I think that if I had gone to Blue Sky, I would have missed out on that. It was like a chance to travel internationally and live in a different country. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity that I had now. It ended up being what I needed more for my life. And sometimes that's just how it goes, So don't get discouraged when stuff like that happens. Other things will present themselves. You just have to stick with it. Don't keep track of things. Just move forward. I always, don't dwell on rejection. I've been turned down many times, and you all probably get turned down many times. It'll get easier as you go on. As you gain more experience, you have more jobs under your belt, it'll get easier. And like I was saying about being prepared, I think it's important to be lucky too. So luck is opportunity meeting preparation. When you're ready and that opportunity presents itself, if you have all your stuff together and the opportunity shows up, that's when you get lucky. And that's what you want to do, is make your own luck by being prepared and seeking those opportunities.